Hi friends, this is Krish the Urban Naxal. Friends, we are going to discuss Piramal Revanta, which is a project based in Nahur. And more particularly, we are going to discuss the terms of the agreement of Piramal projects in general. I have already had some discussion with you a couple of days ago in the context of Piramal Vaikunth. A little bit more of the same. I am extremely taken aback by how one-sided the agreement, the terms of these agreements are. And I want to discuss how needlessly complicated they are. One cannot help feeling that the amount of complications that have been included cannot be in good faith. I mean, there is a term called Piramal Assurance in this in the agreement, which seems to give a false sense of comfort to the flat buyers that the builder means well. But if you read the agreement clause itself, Piramal Assurance, and how it is interpreted, it is a singularly twisted piece of legal writing. So I am going to talk about that. First, let us talk about the project in general. Piramal Revanta, situated in Nahur. So Nahur is an industrial area, and the title of the land has come to Piramal because the land was first held by a pharmaceutical company called Hest, and from Hest it came to Nicholas Piramal, and from Nicholas Piramal it came to Piramal Healthcare, and from there it went to Piramal Enterprises, and from there it finally came down to the present entity which holds this project, which goes by the name of PRL. Now this is a Piramal entity, so we will not go any further into the paternity of this company. PRL Developers Private Limited, that's the name of this company. The project it's a Z-shaped project. You will have a long row of towers, interconnected towers with wings, with podiums. They vary between about 36 floors till about 48 floors plus 9 floors of podium. So there is this kind of a variation. Flats are generally from 450 square feet 1 BHK to around 1500 square feet 3 BHKs. Some of them are also 4 BHKs. There are a couple of 5 BHKs also available. It is very striking that they have already started selling the projects, the flats which are scheduled for completion in 2026 and 2025. I would say about 50% of it is scheduled for possession in 2023 March or so. But I am not going to take March very seriously, because typically these things get postponed by a few months. Possession dates always go back by a few months. So let us say 2023 to 2026 is the legitimate span of this project, given the current position on RERA. Now let us talk about the termination clauses. I am really eager to start talking about what happens if you want to bail out. Why would you want to bail out of the project if you have already entered into registered agreement? The main reason is you may not be satisfied with the progress of the project. You may feel that the project is going too slow, and you would not want to wait until 2026 to go to RERA and say that the project was too slow. Therefore, on hindsight, you will say that, oh, the project was not delivered and I want my money back. You may not want to wait that long, so you may want to withdraw from the project. This is a possible scenario. There are other scenarios: economic difficulties, an inability to pay the EMIs. There are so many scenarios under which one may want to withdraw from the project. So the terms and conditions of this agreement are singularly one-sided. Of course, we see this kind of one-sided agreements everywhere, but let me just run over the main parts of the one-sidedness of this agreement. So I'm going to read you from Tower 1. Tower 1 in the project. There are 4 towers, so this is Tower 1. Tower 1 in the project, he says the developer will also be developing further phases on the remaining portion of the larger land comprising of towers and or wings and or buildings for residential, commercial or such other uses as the developer may see fit. Now, residential, commercial and or such other uses. What are the and or such other uses? The third option is industrial. So does it mean that he could combine commercial with industrial? It can happen. The developer can potentially convert into industrial also, and he is here he's not taking your permission, he is notifying you, so that if you sign this agreement, you cannot object even if they go for an industrial development on the same plot. And they are saying that they will exploit this project. They are saying that they will exploit the TDR, FSI of all the characteristics of the land, every available characteristic of the land, every right, every possible, conceivable, imaginable development right that may emerge from this land or from any land which may be amalgamated. So they may buy land which is attached to this, adjoining, abutting, etc., and they may join it, and then the project may continue, and you have no rights to basically object to this kind of continuing construction activity of any nature, whether it is residential, whether it is commercial, or whether in an extreme scenario it is industrial. You have no rights. Now keep in mind that Nahur is an industrial area, and there is an abundant availability of high tension lines and infrastructure that is singularly favorable for industrial activity. So they are saying again and again that they can do anything and you will not object. Further, they are saying that the amenities of the larger project, which have been promised to you, and I'm sure the sales team will be showing you brochures boasting of the amenities and so on, but the amenities will be made available only after the entire thing is completed. So the exact wordings are: the purchaser acknowledges that the construction and development of the larger project amenities will take substantial time and agrees that the developer shall make available the larger project amenities on completion of the development of the larger project. Does this mean that you will get your amenities after your children have grown up? Possible. Does it mean you may get it after your grandchildren have grown up? Also possible. And you will not object. This is what this agreement is saying. Then they are saying that you have read everything, you have read the development potential, you have seen the proposed layout, you have in fact taken legal advice with respect to everything, and they are saying the tentative locations where common areas, facilities and amenities and reservations and open spaces and built up spaces are proposed to be situated. Tentative. Tentative means if the sales team has shown you a plan, if they have shown you a 3D model, if you think that the development is going to happen as it has been shown to you, it may not. I said at the beginning that it is a Z-shaped project. It may not be Z-shaped. It may turn into Q shape. It may turn into all the letters of the alphabet. There is nothing fixed about it. And the only thing you can hope for is that the flat that you will get will be as per the dimensions that have been booked by you. That's it. That is it. That is the extent of your right. Now, they say that the purchaser has, prior to the execution of this agreement, satisfied himself about the rights of the developer to develop the larger land. And the nature, the approvals and sanctions obtained till date, and the nature of the rights retained by the developer under this agreement. So he is going out of his way to tell you that he is retaining the rights over what in normal circumstances would be your common area, your common amenities, your common wealth, so to speak. You see, there are two kinds of wealth that a person buys when he buys a flat. One is, of course, the flat itself, which is a very personal wealth. It is the wealth that belongs to his family. The other wealth is the building, the corridors, the stairwell, the lifts, the compound, the peace and quiet that goes with the compound, the facilities for his kids to play, for him to walk his dog, whatever. These are the common wealth that belongs to the flat buyer. Now, what Piramal is very clearly saying, beyond a shadow of doubt, is, boss, please forget about your commonwealth. You don't have any commonwealth. Your commonwealth belongs to me. Until I completely complete my project, extract every last bit of profit from it, and then leave the premises after extraction of every last shred of my right, then you will be able to enjoy whatever there is of your commonwealth. So it's abundantly clear. There is no shadow of doubt about the intention of the builder. Now let us come to what happens. So the term used by the builder is the unfettered and vested rights of the developer in this regard for exploitation and for utilization of the full development potential. Unfettered and vested rights. Okay. Now what happens if you wish to withdraw? Now again, the language used is very different between what happens if the builder fails to provide the to deliver possession of your flat as per time schedule, and what happens if you fail to give the money. The language used in the case of builder failing is if the builder fails to abide by the time schedule. Okay. Whereas if you fail to pay, it is the purchaser defaults. So they didn't say the developer defaults. They are not using that. Developer fails to abide. As for you, purchaser defaults in payment. So default is punishable. Failure to abide, well, there are so many explanations for failure to abide. So you see the difference in language. And now what happens if the developer fails to abide? Then the purchaser is entitled to call upon the developer by giving a written notice to ask him to pay interest at State Bank of India highest marginal cost of lending plus 2% per annum as dictated by RERA. So that is 10% more or less. You may, after the default, after the date of possession has passed, the RERA date of possession with all the extended dates and grace and whatever, everything else, then you, the purchaser, may call upon them to refund, give you interest at 10%. Or you may ask them to refund the amount. Now, if you ask them to pay interest, if you have taken that option, then they say that now the other option is closed. So for example, you ask them to pay interest. Fine, they start paying interest, but remember that you are also paying interest. You are paying EMI on the loan that has been taken on the flat. So the interest amount paid by the builder may not turn out to be all that much. It may not really make you feel very comfortable because you are paying an EMI, you are repaying a loan, which is going to be a much higher amount. So let us say that the builder defaults, let us say in the year 2026 or 27 or 28, you find that there is no hope or there is little hope of the builder finishing the project and giving you your flat. If that happens, you may say, okay, I have taken interest for 2 years. Now I am tired of waiting. Let me give back the flat. Let me take back my money. The agreement here says, no, that option is no longer available to you because you chose interest. So we are not going to give you back your money. This is what it says. Is this fair? You decide. However, alternatively, upon expiry of the possession date, the possession date came and went in, let us say, July 2026. Then you notify the builder and say, please refund my amount to me. So he will refund you either the entire amount that you have paid till date, or I don't see any interest mentioned over here. Okay. Or they will, yes, with interest. Correct. With interest. Or, so either they will repay you this amount, what you have exactly paid with interest, or they will refund you an amount equivalent to fair value computed, and then there is a very complicated calculation that is done. So the higher of the two. That sounds reasonably fair because they are saying if you have paid a certain amount plus interest, you may say, well, okay, I'm sorted, I don't want anything else. Alternatively, you may say there has been a lot of appreciation in real estate and therefore you will want to base your calculation on the value of the flat rather than the amount that you have paid. So then what they are saying, now listen to how this thing is calculated. An amount equivalent to the fair value computed after deduction of TDS as applicable and any interest paid by the developer under clause 6.2.62A as follows, the earlier interest calculation. So what they are saying is the fair value will be paid to you. Now how is the fair value of the flat calculated? Think about it. Let us see if this sounds fair to you. Fair value means prevailing base price per square meter in the flat of the same typology in the said building of that floor as increased or decreased by floor rise and preferred location charge as offered by the builder at the relevant time. So basically base value plus floor rise plus preferred location charges and all those things multiplied by the area of the flat. So yes, fair value is per square meter multiplied by the area of the flat multiplied by 0.95. So which means basically they are deducting 5%. Multiplied by 0.95 means minus 5% of this value of the flat as calculated above, and then divided by the total sale price. So basically you've taken away TDS, you've taken away some components which I don't think really belongs in this calculation. I don't think GST should figure in this calculation, but we can have an argument about that later. Divided by the total sale price, divided by. So when you do this, it is a very complicated kind of an a figure that you get, that is the okay, so suffice it to say, then they want to also get the base selling price per square foot calculated by internationally reputed valuers, namely Knight Frank, Jones Lang LaSalle, Cushman and Wakefield, Colliers International, HDFC, and CB Richard Ellis, any two of those, as shall be appointed by the purchaser at their own cost and expense. So a pretty complicated kind of a settlement formula for fair value. Is it a fair value or not? I leave it to you to decide. Apply your mind to this. To me, it seemed very, very complicated. Now, what happens if you wish to withdraw before the builder, before the possession date? Suppose you find that the construction is not happening satisfactorily, it's too slow, and you want your money back. Then what they are saying is there is a Piramal Assurance. They have specifically called it Piramal Assurance, and what they are saying is, if you are not satisfied with the progress or the quality of the construction, then you give them a notice expressing your clear intention to cancel the agreement. And then if the developer is satisfied that you are not interested in acquiring the said flat, so you already given them a notice saying you are not interested, but now the developer has to be satisfied that you are not interested. I find that strange. Then the developer will accept the purchaser's request. Now it is not a request. If there is a right which is conferred under this agreement, then it is not a request. They say the developer will accept the purchaser's request, and then based on that he will pay you fair value as calculated earlier. So friends, this is Piramal Revanta's draft agreement. Think about it. How does it feel to you? Does it feel equitable? Give it a thought. I'm your friend Krish, the Urban Naxal. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan.